Landon, Slack is an interesting one. I know you have some data on this one in particular, as well as other work from home names. When you're looking at the data, when you're looking at the business models for these companies, you know, there could be opportunities for investors to take advantage of these, wide swings of the market, just selling everything, although Slack not getting sold quite as much as Zoom.
Yeah. Look, I think a big point to make is that obviously for the work from home companies out there that are offering that, benefiting from that, workouts from home, all of those, this is a very bad day. Clearly, the stocks are selling off tremendously, but this day was going to come eventually. It's just a matter of when. So there's going to be eventually some good news on the coronavirus, either the vaccine or lockdowns are working, or some good news in the future where we can kind of get back to normal. For those companies, the longer it took to get to that announcement, the better. The fact that it's coming today is just how it is. Maybe it could have happened 3 months ago. Maybe it could have happened 12 months from now. So who knows? I'm ready to get back to normal, but I don't think that investors in these companies really need to be too concerned because this was going to happen, and the fact that they've all run up so much, they're just giving a little bit back right now. But we look at LikeFolio data. We look at how many people are talking about working from home. Obviously, huge surge March, April, May. It has started to move back down, though, as I think it's become a little bit normal for a lot of people. However, just like Jenny points out, there's a lot of people that want to get back to work. I think that companies are more productive in office. I think that's been shown. It's cheaper, I think, but maybe employees are a little bit happier if they work from home. But I really think it's better for the company if you get back out there. Kevin, you talked about business travel. It's not the same on Zoom. It is absolutely not the same on Zoom. You got to be able to shake hands, talk about things, get a drink after the conference, that kind of stuff. That's where relationships are made. That's where business gets done, in my opinion. And I think that the smart companies are going to get back out there and get on that business travel, which is going to be great for all the stuff that you talked about, hotels, and it's going to be bad for things like Zoom. But this is a technology, Slack, Zoom, all of these DocuSign, whatever it may be, that have changed behaviors and that have increased efficiencies in some way. And those increases in efficiency are going to stay. So this is a long-term play. I think these companies are fine. This is a good opportunity, in my opinion, to get them on sale. And like I said, this was going to happen eventually. It's just a matter of when. So if you're Zoom or DocuSign or one of these, you would rather it have taken longer. The timing is what it is, and here we are.
Yeah, Landon, listen, I agree with you. The real question is, can all these companies do well in this environment? I mean, Slack was significantly off of its highs before this announcement was made today, right? It had traded $40. It was, it closed. It's only down. It's down, a quarter of a dollar today. It's not down that much. So some of the damage done to a company like Slack maybe was more competition based and not reopening versus stay at home. It may have to do with people were choosing other forms than them, Landon. What I want to know is, if all these companies are under pressure, which one's going to make it and which one may not? Landon?
Sure. I will say, I think I agree with you a little bit on the competition angle for Slack, but I also think that they benefited probably the least of all of these types of companies. Zoom was a necessity all of a sudden, whereas with Slack, yes, you've got a bump, but look at the bump size compared to their normal purchase intent. This is people talking about signing up their company for Slack and starting to use it as an employee or as an employer. It's not quite double during the quarantine, which compare that to something like Zoom, and I don't even know how far out you'd have to get to see the scale work out. It's 10, 15, 20x, 100x, whatever it is. It's not double. And so Slack is, I think that's why they're not getting hurt as bad today. But I will say that because they're usage-based, this can hurt them some if people start to come into the office and they use Slack less. Now, as a Slack user, I will say that it is a fantastic product, and it's a little bit addictive in that increases efficiency in so many different ways. Once you get your whole team on it, it's here to stay. So I think that they did benefit some from the lockdown and the work from home phenomenon, but I don't think they benefited that much, and I think that's why they're not nearly as off today because they just didn't have the gains that all these others did.
Landon, I don't have much time, but I want to ask you something just from kind of a data analyst in a way that you guys are at LikeFolio, and also your kind of entrepreneurial side, as well as how much trends you guys are following. You talked about Zoom and how it went from being kind of this cool product people had heard of. It was trading, it was exciting. And then all of a sudden it was a necessity as early adopters quickly, the social pressure and the social dynamics kind of pushed everyone to that when there was, shutdowns regarding the virus at the beginning. Does it work the other way? Has 2020 been more of a lesson on social dynamics and trends as well, where, once a couple brave companies come out, start corporate travel again, is it going to be like the floodgates and all companies are going to jump back on? Or is this going to be kind of a trickle effect?
I don't think it's going to be floodgates. I think it's actually going to vary quite a bit. I think you're going to have your companies that do jump back on, and you're going to have your companies that say, you know what, we're sticking with Zoom because it's a lot cheaper than having to fly employees around, pay for hotels, pay for flights versus what Zoom's like $15 a month. So the cost analysis is unbelievable. So I really think it's going to come down to what's the benefit. If you're talking about a one-on-one meeting, that you might have to fly, a flight over, stay the night, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, Zoom makes more sense. But if you're talking about a larger conference where you just can't get the same efficiency when you've got 6+ people, just forget about it. If you got 50 or 100 or in the hundreds, it just doesn't work over Zoom. So I think a lot of companies make a lot of money on business travel, and I think it's really going to vary based on the type of meetings that they're talking about, and also the attitude of risk reward as far as expenses goes, because it is way, way cheaper, obviously. But my personal experience is there's nothing that there's no substitute for in-person, face-to-face meetings.